football. Hey, Mike DeCourcy is here. He snuck in on me. He didn't see him. Mike, how are you, brother?
I'm stealth that way.
You are sneaky. You know what? And perfectly topic we were talking about earlier that's right up your alley. The NFL overtime rules. It's just been a great topic because it's coming off of one of the greatest playoff games that most people in recent memory and years have seen. But we were just talking about how in the hell do you have a game like that in which Josh Allen and the Bills do not touch the ball to have a shot? It's the only sport I can think of in which an opposition does not get at least an opportunity to score.
I'm told lacrosse might be that way. I have no idea. But my response when someone told me because I posed that question on Twitter yesterday, when people started defending the status quo, I said, well, what other sport would do this? And lacrosse was the answer. And my response was, if we're going that far down into the sports world, then I think that we're on to something that this is wrong. It doesn't happen in hockey. It doesn't happen in soccer. It doesn't happen in basketball. It doesn't happen in any of the sports that the majority of the country cares about. And that's a clear indication. It doesn't happen in college football either, although I'm not a huge fan of the college football overtime rules. I think they're more just. I think there's a better way, but I think that certainly they are more just than what the NFL overtime rule is. We have now had 11 playoff games since 2011 that went into overtime under the current rules. And 10 of those were won by the team that won the coin toss, and 7 were won on the opening possession. So we're talking about more than 63% of games are over as soon as the coin flip is won. And that's just it's intolerable. Now, when people said the Bills could have won, no, it's not about the Bills. There have been 10 other games played under these rules, and there will be many more in the future unless they get changed. Now, I'll give Kansas City credit. This is not about them either, because they were the ones who in the 2018 season, the January of 2019 playoff in the AFC Championship game, played the Patriots and lost under the exact same circumstances. They went into overtime, and Tom Brady's team won the coin flip, and Tom Brady was Tom Brady, and the game was over in one drive. And that was wrong. And again, it's a very simple solution. One, both teams touch the ball in overtime. Very simple. Now, how do you establish who touches the ball? Well, since you guarantee both teams touching the ball, that means the strategy is a little different. Being able to put up a touchdown on the first possession doesn't end the game. So I believe that since it's the playoffs, this is not a regular season deal we're talking about. This is the playoffs. So you earn particular advantages by having a better record in the regular season. You get to play at home. You wear your favorite jerseys, all that stuff. Well, why not, if you make it to overtime, you get to decide whether you want the ball first or second? Because if you have a great defense, you can kick off and maybe win field position a little bit and then score as a result. Or the other team might come down, score a touchdown, and then you as the second team to get the ball can decide, okay, if we come down, and we obviously have to match that touchdown, which means we get 4 downs on every series instead of 3. And if they have scored a touchdown, then we can decide, okay, do we trust our defense to get a second stop and then we can get the ball back, or do we want to go for 2 here? So I think those kinds of strategic elements also make the overtime even more interesting than it already is. I think the NFL is too content to settle on the idea that they like the game ending on Travis Kelce's catch, and it looks really cool on TV and all of that, instead of what's most just. And as I said, the Chiefs proposed the last time when they lost this, they said, okay, we want to fix this because what happened to us wasn't right. And it would have hurt them this time. It may not have, it may not have ended them, but it would have hurt them because they would have had to then defend that touchdown if both teams were guaranteed a possession. But they asked, they said, we got to change this rule. And among the teams reportedly that voted against the change were the Buffalo Bills. And so I will say this. The Bills players don't deserve what happened to them on Saturday. But the Bills as an organization deserve their fans to be furious. Because how could you not look forward into the future and think, hey, what? That could have been us. Hey, we could have been the team that lost without ever touching the ball. And now it is. And so
especially a team that doesn't get to play much before when that vote was taken.
Yeah, but you have to have some vision. This is where you want to be. And do you ever want to be in a position where you do this, you play this brilliant game to get to overtime, 36-36. You do all these fabulous things. And yeah, they did do some really dumb things in the last 13 seconds. But they did all this wonderful stuff, and they wind up losing because they lost a coin flip. You have to understand that could be you, and you have to vote yes as a result. And because they didn't and many other teams didn't, that rule didn't go anywhere. And look, Saturday, for those of us who just love football and don't bet on it, Sunday was great. It was phenomenal. But if I were a Bills fan, I'd be livid. I'd be livid at my own team, especially since they had a vote. But I'd be livid at the league in general for having the rules the way they are.